All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite warlock practicing necromancer. And today I'm bringing to you Just Do You, part two. Yesterday, I spoke a little bit on why it's important to be a solitary practitioner rather than to be in, say, for an example, a relationship with a woman or a man, you know, um, joining a coven or a temple, a church, whatever, without actually having a firm foundation, a grasp on the foundation of which you practice and the path that you follow. I named off John Ramirez and Melinda Lyons just to name a couple. My former relationships and stuff like that, kind of showing you the personal aspect too. Well, today I'm going to bring you a total of six individuals and why it's important not to believe everything you hear and listen to on social media. Now, the first one is John Ramirez. John Ramirez, the very first video that he ever put out was actually an interview, and it was called "The Dangers of Santeria and the Occult." Okay, he's done quite a bit of interviews over the years since then, and he's even promoted a couple of books. And every time he does a video or an interview, he really doesn't go into details about his past, about where it came from. It was more about promoting his book and his radical style of Christianity. And you could always tell when he was doing his book and representing his book because he turned on the waterworks. When you start watching his videos, his interviews, and everything, you start to realize that the guy's full of shit. Okay. I mean, number one, there's an entire link, um, well, actually, an entire channel dedicated to exposing him. Okay. There's even been videos of his own patrons to his own church calling him out as a as a fraud, a fake. Okay. And not just that, but other Christians, other denominations of Christians have called him out as well. So it's not just occultists, it's not just Christians, it's both sides of the fucking line. Okay. Now, what's interesting is in the video, and you can actually Google this. It's right here on YouTube. It's called "The Dangers of Santeria and the Occult." Okay, this individual claimed to have started out in an abusive home, and at least this is the way the video actually starts out. It shows him as a small boy, and when it gets into a manhood, shows him as a different person, a different man, if you will. Not him, not like you see in the interviews. No, this is a whole different plate. It's like it would be like it would be like Arnold Schwarzenegger from the original Terminator movie, okay, and him becoming, well, let's just say he becomes a man, and then you have this new guy come in the newest one with oh, what's his name there, Christian Bale, one of the last few ones they did in the Terminator series. I think it was Genesis, I think, where it's after the collapse of society, the machines are running rampant. They go into the city, they terminate it, and he ends up going up against the Schwarzenegger guy. Okay, but it's a stand-in. Okay, that's the point here. It wasn't John Ramirez in the video. It was a different dude playing him. Okay, now here it is. John Ramirez is sitting there saying, well, my father was an abusive bastard. Okay, I wanted to have a relationship with him, but he was more interested. He had more of a relationship with the demons, with the devil. Okay, he was a warlock. Okay, the number of years that changed was how many years he how should I say this? He got into it. Okay, the age wise, that was number one that caught my attention. Number two, the length of time kept changing that he was an actual practitioner. The age when he met his wife changed. The length of time he was a Christian changed. Can you actually believe anything this man says? The answer is no. Because every time he opens his mouth, he's lying. Okay? And that's up to him because that's on him. But during this video, it says that he started out in Santeria. He was introduced from his mother to a practitioner of Santeria, okay, which is an African Caribbean tradition. Now, what's interesting here is that after being initiated, he suddenly had all this respect, all of this power, and he demanded respect. People respected him, fell at his feet, like he was the next fucking Messiah. Okay? Talk about delusions of grandeur. So much for working for that power. Then supposedly as he progressed in Santeria and was being trained by poleros and shamans and all these big-time practitioners, number one, in Santeria, there is no priesthood. There is no council. You have what is known as a polero, okay? A polero or a marimberos, okay? And there are different terms that are used in the African Caribbean traditions, depending on which one you're following. Now, supposedly around his teenage years, he ended up getting into Pedo Mayumbi, okay? Now, this is where he started practicing things like projection, astral projection, remote viewing techniques. But yet he doesn't come out and describe in detail what these are. Okay, and what and how to you do to get into one of these states to be able to perform these. Now, supposedly around this time, he was going to clubs, he was seducing women, he was supposedly speaking vile curses while in astral, projection form, going around the cities, the different neighborhoods, and all this stuff. And then he met his wife to be and got invited to her home, got invited to church, the big, transition, if you will, of his little journey into Christhood. And it's interesting because of the fact that he would go to church and then stay up all night and perform rites of blood sorcery to the devil and sacrifices to the devil. Ironic how that works, right? But yet, anybody who has ever followed or practiced Santeria will tell you that they would not do anything to corrupt themselves or the Orisha. The Orisha would not even perform curses or hexes, not even jinxes. We're talking a religion, a philosophy, a practice of witchcraft that is meant for healing, for guidance, spiritual communions, even. Now, if you want to talk Pedro Mayambi, now this is a path much like Brujeria, okay, where you're utilizing curses, hexes, jinxes, you name it, to deal with people. You can deal with people on a vile magic, or you can do a healing. It's called an Amari for healing, for love magic, or whatever you want to call it. And then you have the vile nature, which is called a Trabajo. Okay, Hesperos is oh my god, I can't speak today. They have different terminology that you have to follow and understand. One means sorcery. Brujeria is a form of witchcraft. Palo, on the other hand, means people of the sticks. Okay, this is a Congo region practice. Okay, let's just call it very interesting type of magic. All right, leave it at that. But here it is. So while he's doing this, he's also going to church. He's associating with this woman. Now, supposedly one day, according to him in this one video, he got up during a pasture call. Okay, and when it was his turn, he supposedly picked this 200-pound guy up and said, "I'm here for you." Okay, about 200 patrons jumped on his ass and started praying and telling him to say Jesus is Lord. Wow. Okay. I can tell you that part there is actually kind of true, because Christians will tell you that he is Lord. Now, if you actually go back into the actual history of the terminology of Lord, then you will understand that it actually means somebody of an estate, a great province. Okay. But yet again, you're seeing his stories even after this video. So supposedly he went to hell and was threatened by the devil. He almost committed suicide. And all of a sudden he just got this voice, this imaginary cross just suddenly appeared in his hand, and he was saved from the devil. Wow. Okay. Wow. All right. So he became a Christian. Now, supposedly, he's actually had 2 wives in his lives now. He was married, got divorced, and now he's married again. Wow. Okay. Now, anybody who's ever read the Bible, number one, when you lay with a woman, she becomes your wife. There is no divorce. Now, if you want a divorce, you got to go into the Islamic tradition, where the woman or the man goes to the elders and says, "Hey, I want out of this." Wow. Okay. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When you start getting into his book, Out of the Devil's Cauldron, and yes, I do have that sitting right over there. I actually went out and bought it. I read it. I got a good little laugh out of it, because he doesn't go into details. He's too busy condemning all other religions than actually showing what he did in those religions, which tells me he's not an actual practitioner. Even in the videos, when he goes in and says, "I did all this, this, and this," really, why don't you break this stuff down? He did an interview where he was with a reporter and he was outside of a botanica. And for those of you who do not know what a botanica is, it is a store run by a polero. Okay. It is a store run by a practitioner of the Caribbean traditions. It's normally a place of plants, flowers, and cult, items. And he just simply points out, see, they put this here next to the statue of Jesus, and it's a statue of Santa Morte. Okay, different colors of Santa Morte statues. And this is back long before you got into the LBGTQ and all this other crap, where they started taking the depiction of Santa Morte from the bony lady, the skeleton, dressed in a black robe, and start mixing it in with different colors. Okay. So he just simply says, that's of the devil, and then putting it right next to the statue of Christ or the Virgin Mary. Wow. Okay. What religion is it? What does it represent? How does Santa Morte, is Santa Morte related to Santeria? Pedro Mayambi? No. It's a whole nother practice. And like Santeria, it is a solitary practice. Normally, it's a Santeria and Pedro Mayambi or Pedro Monte is normally a heritage. It's a family lineage. You inherit everything from your family. Santeria, on the other hand, like I said, is more of a white light basis, unlike Pedro Mayambi. Now, there's a difference between Pedro Mayambi and Pedro Monte. Pedro Monte is more of the spiritual aspect of Pedro. Okay, and a lot of times you're going to see it associated with shamanism, healing. Okay, spiritual healing and cleansings and all that stuff. Pedro Mayambi is more into, depending on the house that you get into and associate with, you're going to be dealing with anything from black magic to, say, for an example, fetishes in today's world. Okay. And it's funny to see, but when you get into Santa Morte or La Santa Morte, this isn't a religion. This is not a religion. It is a personalized belief in the beloved death. And this actually comes from Portugal and Spain. Okay. Ironic it goes back to Spain. That's where Vatican City is. Woo! Ironic, right? So anyways, he doesn't go into this type of practice and go, okay, this is what you practice. This is how it was done. I spent a lot of years as a practicing Satanist. When I went to a church, I even went through the baptism just to let them know, hey, I'm serious about becoming a minister. Okay? You learn from other ministers, or you spend a lot of fucking money going through their biblical schools. I chose the cheap way. Not all of us have money. We're not all flashy. But there's a lot that goes around John Ramirez that people don't see. They don't take note. When I first was approached to do a video, I think it was like a year ago, on John Ramirez, I did all kinds of research. I went out, like I said, and I bought his book, Out of the Devil's Cauldron. And from what I understand, he also did another book as well. And this is, anytime he starts talking about this book or the other book, that's when the waterworks starts. Okay? So I would not follow John Ramirez. The guy has no allegiance to either side. He's not even supported by either side. He's a solo, individual. an occult leader, nothing more. He's a wannabe. So, and plus, then you have Melinda Lyons. Melinda Lyons, she calls herself the last frontier medium. She refers to herself as a near-death experiencer, a psychic and a medium, okay? A demonolator, okay? Somebody who works with demons, okay? And she refers to herself as a witch. A witch! Okay. But yet this individual, I sent some of these videos, just her videos, right to a couple of my apprentices, and they all came back and said, what a fucking hypocrite. Talk about duality at the highest level. Okay, number one, you're condemning demons, but yet you yourself said you work with them. You're a demonolator. Now, last time I checked, being in demonolatry, you study demons. You choose to work with demons. Solely. Just with demons. Not jinn, not the Devi, not angels. Demons. Okay. You're condemning them. You condemn Lucifer. You condemn Baphomet. You condemn Beelzebub. Wow. You're not a demonolator. You're not even into demonolatry if you're condemning them, because you work with demons, but yet you're condemning them. You're telling people not to get involved with them. She calls herself a psychic and a medium. Okay. Being a psychic is only one aspect of mediumship. Being an empath, being a reader, being able to move things with your mind. It's called telekinesis. You are able to see things before they happen. This is all part of being a medium. Okay. So you're psychic and a medium. Wow. Apparently you didn't read anything on the topic, because there's only one thing. It's called mediumship. All this other stuff is like pillars going down underneath that one word. Wow. And I bet you don't and I can guarantee it, she doesn't even meditate. But yet she wrote a book on demons and her personal experience in hell for thousands of years. Yeah, talk about delusions of grandeur. I've worked with demons for years. Not once have they assaulted me. Not once have they hurt me, threatened me. No. I've worked with demons for a long time. I've worked with Beelzebub, Astaroth. I've worked with Alistair, Samael, Paimon, the 9 kings of the Goetia. Okay? I've worked with a lot of these beings, including their symbols that go along with them. I have put them in play. I built an entire shrine to these beings. So if you actually worked with demons, number one, you would know that a demon is nothing more than a protector and a guide. An angel is nothing more than a messenger and a soldier. If you don't believe me, why don't you read your Bible? The Bible shows Michael, the archangel, slaying an entire army like a fucking coward. Like a coward. They're sleeping. And he slaughters 2,000 soldiers in their sleep. Go to the New Testament. You have Gabriel, a messenger, not a warrior, a messenger. But yet, Satan, depending if it's Hebrew or Judaism, Islamic tradition, El Shaitan or Ha-Satan. Ha-Satan means accuser. El Shaitan means adversary. Ooh, two different sayings, isn't it? But yet, if you go to the first chapter in Job, it shows it was Satan who went to Jehovah and said, hey, your people are not living right for you. Now, remind me, who sent Satan after Job? It was God, right? Whew. But yet, people forget that it was God who said, do whatever you want to him, but you cannot kill him. But yet people constantly, excuse me, people constantly say that Satan is evil, that he's a murderer. He's only out to murder you. Really? Well, let's look at this for a moment. Satan, in the book of Job, is shown accusing mankind of not living right for their God. This means the Israelites, okay? The chosen people, okay? Now, in the New Testament, if we go to the book of Matthew, chapter 4, he's tempting the man Jesus. Okay. Let's go back to the Old Testament. The Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, a serpent. They say this is Satan as a little serpent. Okay. All right. Let's look at this for a minute. He's a murderer. Okay. So he says, go ahead and eat of that tree. Eve says, no, because we'll die. What does he say? Oh, we're not going to, you will not die. You will surely live, but you'll be enlightened. So we see again, if this is truly Satan as the serpent, then he is aiding humanity in becoming enlightened and independent. Ooh, what a murderer he is. He's a murdering bastard. Wow. Whew. Okay. So right there, Fronteer medium. Okay. Number one, you don't understand anything about mediumship. Number two, you're not a demonolater because, you know nothing about demonolatry. You know a few names, but you don't go into detail about what they do and what they can do for you. You know nothing about the difference between an angel and a demon. Wow. Another fake. Okay. But yet you're in it for your books. She's even written a couple of books. Interesting. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Stephen Dollins. Now, Stephen Dollins, this was another guy I was actually approached on and asked to do a video on, and I haven't quite gotten around to that one yet. So I do apologize. So I'm going to bring his name up right here. Now, this individual claims to be an ex-Satanist turned Christian. Okay? Turned Christian. Okay. First time I saw this guy in a video, he was doing a lecture on occult symbolism. Okay. Anybody can do a 2-second Google search on the Gota Mendes. Okay. Specifically that of the chosen symbol of the Church of Satan. Okay. Founded by Anton Szandor LaVey in 1966. Now, here it is. This individual claims that it is the overall symbol for Satanism. Circle within a circle. the pentagram in the center with the symbol of the goat in the center. And he goes on and talks about how the goat is considered the scapegoat, and that all sins should be placed on the scapegoat. So let's take a moment here. Okay, this is where he literally stopped with this symbol, which tells me that's all he knows about the symbol. Okay, where does the symbol come from? Okay, well, anybody who's studied the inverted pentagram knows that it's the 2 points thrusting up in defiance, 3 points facing down taking root. The goat aspect was actually a symbol that was taking place on an island in Europe. 17th century is how far that symbol goes back. And it was used by a bunch of monks. Okay. Wow. Okay. Kind of like the inverted cross, where the inverted cross was used by St. Peter during his execution. He would rather have been crucified upside down instead of like his so-called God, Jesus of Nazareth, Son of God. Okay. Again, it comes down to the translation of the name, Emmanuel versus Jesus. Okay. But in this case, we're talking symbolism. So then he goes into the fact that the pentagram in the upright corner is the symbol for all paganism. Okay. And it's a symbol for witchcraft. In modern day, yes, it's considered to be the symbol of witchcraft. And a lot of authors, such as Raven Silver Wolf, utilizes it. A whole bunch of other so-called Wiccans use it. But he doesn't go into the different details of, okay, there's a difference between paganism and from Wicca. Okay. There's a difference between being a witch and a warlock. Okay. The fact that these symbols literally go back to the European-based propagandas of what it actually stood for, depending if it's the double V, the W, or the UU. Okay. Which is associated with the pentagram. Wow. Again, you got some information, but if you're going to do a lecture on symbolism, don't you think you want to go into all the details? Nope, he doesn't. He just gives you just enough to hang yourself, to feed and whet that appetite. And then he goes right on to the next one. The fact that he actually did some research, that sets him apart from John Ramirez and Milinda Lyons. Okay. And he claims to be an ex-Satanic high priest. Okay. So, like John Ramirez, okay, Stephen Dollins is one of those ones that claims to be an ex-Satanist. But yet, nowhere in John Ramirez's past was he ever associated with Satanism. Last time I checked, Santeria and Pedo Mayumbi were African Caribbean traditions, not Satanism. Wow. Then you have a guy by the name of James, and I'm probably going to butcher his last name, and he's out of Africa. Kawalya. Okay, that's Kawalya. Okay, so if I butchered your last name, I do apologize. Now, this guy claimed to have been in witchcraft for a long time, and that he was married to his wife after being born into this world. Now, don't get me wrong, in some traditions, in some cultures, normally in third world countries, when you were born, you're paired with your wife-to-be when you grow up. Okay? This is old school arranged marriages. Normally, it's associated with wealth and power, like kings and queens, if you will. But a lot of times when you get into royalty, this is where arranged marriages come into play. But in some cases, in the villages, it was always about power. Okay, sometimes it was about making a deal with a witch or a warlock for a certain rite or a certain practice to be done. Okay, now this guy claims to be an ex warlock. Okay, high ranking warlock. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a council of warlocks out there. There is even Tom Knox, who's a reverend, I might add, a practitioner of Christianity, has actually spoken to some of these warlocks and broke them down into three. And I did a video on that in the past as well, but I'm not going to get into that here. So, and there is a coven of Bokors as well. So, just to let you know. The next one is Julie Lopez, who claims to be an ex witch but doesn't go into details about her past. A lot of times, when you get somebody who claims to be an ex something, they never go into details about what they did, what their practices were. And the reason for that is because they were never really practitioners. In Julie's case, she was actually born into a occult family. And she ran to Christ because she witnessed something that scared the shit out of her. And on top of that, you had people saying, "Oh my God, it's devilry! It's devil. It's practicing devil worship. It's witchcraft. It's evil. It's vile." And that's basically what happens a lot of these times. And when you get underneath YouTube or any social media outlet, and you type in X witch or X warlock, X Bokor, X, Satanist, whatever, you're going to come up with a lot of these idiots on there that don't really know what they're doing. They don't even know what the hell they're talking about. And you'll come to find out it's more about it's more about a fad, and that's all it is. Oh, this person's doing it, I want to do it too. Now, the one that I got curious about, and I actually watched this video several times, and it was by Curtis Kelley, an ex voodoo priest. This individual actually came from a voodoo family. A voodoo family. His relative was actually a voodoo high priestess. This individual actually went into details on what he practiced, the types of rites that he did while being a practitioner. That's what sets Curtis Kelley apart from every one of these other names that I spoke on. He was actually the real deal, and he actually turned to Christianity. Now, a lot of times it comes down to the fact that a lot of these individuals, they're tired of being rich. They've reached their top of their game, and they want to change. But a lot of times you're going to see individuals that really don't get into detail because they're writing a book about what they think the devil is doing. Okay. Like you get underneath social media today, you're going to see people, talking about celebrities. Oh my God, they sold their soul to the Illuminati. They're regretting it now. I mean, there was one on Beyonce Knowles. There was one on, what was the latest one that I saw come across my board was Megan Fox. Okay. Taylor Swift was supposedly one of them as well. And it's like, seriously, guys, you know, signing a contract with a company or a corporation to do a movie or number of albums is not signing up to be a part of the Illuminati. Okay. Second of all, do you even know what the Illuminati was compared to the Vatican, the Catholics, the Roman Catholics? Hmm. How about Orthodox Catholic? Do you even know the difference between them? One utilized religious worship. The original Illuminati back in the 15th century utilized science and religious worship together. That would be like that would be like being a shaman and walking between worlds. Hmm. Interesting how that works, right? But yet, in modern day society, you have all these cults coming up going, hey, come join the Illuminati and get rich and famous. And people fall for it. And it's all nothing more than a scam. When you got people sitting there telling you it's a scam and you choose to go with it anyways, that's on you. When somebody like me does a video like this to show you exactly, I'm giving you names, I'm giving you what they claim to be. I'm telling you that there's actual videos out there, people exposing them, telling you they are frauds. With Milinda Lyons, there was actually a video where she was literally going, boo hoo hoo, I don't have the followers. I'm being cursed. Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Then maybe once you get real and delve into actual study and practice, maybe you'll actually learn something. Maybe you'll learn something. But no, this is just 6 individuals, and I did put their names down in the link, the description link below, for you to actually go in and look them up for yourself. I want you to look at all their videos, and I want you to listen to how they talk. Okay, like Melinda Lyons refers to herself as a white light practitioner. Okay, well, Christians don't associate themselves with demons. And if you were an ex-Satanist, okay, and you went to church, I can tell you firsthand that the first church that I went to was an apostolic church. Okay. I actually learned how to be a minister from an apostolic evangelist who later became the priest, the actual pastor of that church. Okay. And after the baptism, he asked me to go into details about what I did, what I used to do as a Satanist, because I'm not going to get into BS in a full blown fucking argument about devil icons and fucking, you know, product that you use, like, say, sulfur, brimstone powder or graveyard dirt, you know, doing symbols and curses and personalized gain rights. Okay. Working with different demons to learn from them. I'm not going to get into that kind of hissy fit with these Christians. I'm just not. It's not worth my time. So I gave him what he wanted to hear. And they ate it up. Why? Because they expected you to come forth and go, hey, I used to, say, for an example, what was the biggest thing associated with Satanism these days? Oh, right. Orgies, masturbation, supposedly, according to these white light practitioners. Wow. Okay. Eating raw hamburger or animal and human sacrifices, child abductions, the 1980s and 90s satanic panic BS. Okay. A lot of these individuals that get on here claiming to be coming from these satanic cults are nothing more than frauds. Oh, I don't remember where the rites took place or what happened during the rite, but I was molested. Oh, really? I don't know about you, but if I was being groped, I would remember this. I would report it. If somebody did that to my kid, I would have probably gone off and butchered that fucker. Okay? So basically, you'd sit there and go, oh, I curse people through destruction rites. I did lust rites to lure women from their husbands. Wow. Okay, these are examples of things that you can say to these Christians, and they're going to believe you. Because a lot of times they'll sit there and go, well, you still got this in your home. Well, I can go through your home and go, well, this is of devil worship, that's of devil worship, that's of devil worship. Well, motherfucker, you are of fucking devil worship. Okay? That's all I got to say on that. So you really got to sit there and pay attention to details. Okay? You can't just watch one video and go, huh, okay, this person claims to be an ex-practitioner of Santeria who went into Pero Mayumbe, because if he didn't, he would have been blind. His mother took him there, but yet he had no love for his father had no love for him. He was an abusive bastard. He supposedly was murdered in a bar fight, but yet you cried out to God, but God didn't listen, but the devil did. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? The devil is a protector. Demons are protectors. Now look at what you learn from witchcraft. Look at what you learn from practicing demonolatry. You learn evocations. You learn how to soul travel. You learn how to do things through mediumship. You can use fortune telling, if you will, modern day terminology, fortune telling. Okay? Through tarot cards. Now, what was the original name of tarot cards? Cartomancy. Goes back to the 11th century. Tarot cards have only been the name for the last 50 years. Whew, imagine that. But before that, you have bone readings. You have rune readings, utilizing Steve's symbolism. Wow. But yet all these individuals I've just named off are coming at you at things from a Christianized perspective, not a practitioner of the arts. That should be the red flag number one. Number two, if you refer to yourself as a practitioner, be it a warlock, be it a medium, a demonolater, somebody who associates with demons, and you're going to sit there and put them down and say they're vile, they tortured me, whatever, that's not being a demonolater. That's not being a practitioner of witchcraft. Okay? Anybody can get online and go, hey, I'm a lord of darkness. I'm a warlock. I'm the most powerful fucking warlock or witch in the world. You can put the word satanic before anything. And I mean anything. Okay? It does not make you so. It does not make you so. That is why when I do these videos, I always tell you guys, whatever you preach, always back it up with numerous sources. Okay? You go underneath my videos, you're seeing my temple. You're seeing altars that I have erected in the past for certain rituals and rites. Okay? I'm even walking you through how to make certain powders or how to make a phylactery, like say an amulet, a talisman, even a relic, if you will, a totem. Okay? I've spoken as a Satanist in a series. I have shown you what it involves through the Journey into Satanism series. I have done a Journey into Necromancy, okay, series. I've broken it down and went into various different traditions, from the Sin Eater to medical terminology and practices of necromantic rites and rituals on how to bring somebody back from the dead. I showed you the difference between nigromancy, nikia, and necromancy. The difference between the terminology of lick, glick, cadaver, corpse. I have shown you different things throughout that entire series. Even through history, folklore, mythology, archaeology, even, wow, even anthropology, practices. That's backing something up that you're saying through multiple different sources. And when you guys have come to me and asked me to do something, like do a video on John Ramirez or do a video on Stephen Dolan, what have I done? I did 3 videos on John Ramirez. I even did a video on one of his followers. And I even called him out to get his ass online with me. Hey, hit me up. We'll do a video and we'll talk. Your followers want us to get together. I'm willing to jump in on a video with you. 2.5 hours later, this motherfucker didn't even show up. But his followers did, and they called me every name in the book, from an archdemon to the Antichrist to a devil to even being evil. And yet I'm the bad guy. I don't mind it. But here it is. You're going to find it out that a true practitioner is somebody who is solitary. Solitary. Not in a coven, not in a church, not in a temple. Nobody from a temple, an actual practicing temple, is going to tell you what to believe. They're not going to sit there and go, well, you can't practice this because it's of a different religion. Covens today will call you W from the Welsh and Scottish terminology of the Anglo-Saxon variety of the definition of warlock, okay, which means liar, betrayer, oath breaker. But if you actually get into the history and the name of that title, it means a male practitioner. If you go into Swedish, Scottish even, the very name Hexa shows the history that mostly women practiced witchcraft, but there were instances when males practiced witchcraft. So it wasn't just a title placed upon you as a practitioner. It was also it was actually a name for witchcraft. Okay? You go into Brujeria, it means witchcraft. Okay? It means witchcraft. They made it into a religion. Look at Lucian Graves and the Satanic Temple. Okay? The Satanic Temple will sit there and go, well, we're doing this for all Satanists, but yet every single news outlet, news thing, bulletin that they put out. And yes, I'm actually subscribed to it. And this is why. Because I like showing this stuff on my Facebook page and on my social media stuff. Why? Because they sit there and go, we're doing this for all Satanism. For Satanism in general. Shows to me you're just suing people just because you can over statues, over abortion rights, over temple space. You name it, they've done it. They've done it. But yet in the bulletins, it's always about our members. We feel that our members rights are being violated. Well, first of all, if you're doing this for the entire community of Satanism, doesn't matter if it's theistic, traditional, atheistic, or agnostic, or even Luciferian Satanism, then don't you think you might want to rephrase your words? Because that's called duality, hypocrisy even. I'm just saying. Second of all, always, like I said, always make yourself available because you are responsible for the things that you do and say. Number one, you represent the beings that you work with. And number two, you also represent them to the world, which means you answer to the world as well. So in actuality, you do walk between two worlds as a practitioner. All right. So with that said, I'm going to end this stream. This has been part 2 of Just Do You. All right. Have a good one.